Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Commander's Crypt. I've got an awesome episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about Osgir The Reconstructor. Precon came out a few sets ago. It actually came out before I had my channel. So I didn't do one when it first came out because it came out before my channel. But the other day we did a gameplay video and I saw how strong this deck was. So I thought what I would do today is talk about Osgir the Reconstructor, but then also tell you some fantastic upgrades that you can do to this deck to make it super strong and super playable. So for you new players out there, you know, if you get Osgir the Reconstructor, it's a relatively cheap precon, but then with a couple of upgrades, you can make this deck very, very strong. It's a very good deck on its own. It's kind of lacking some oomph, and we're going to give it the oomph that it needs for you to dominate and hang with the best of them. Osgir the Reconstructor, he's Boros and 2, legendary creature, giant artificer. He's got vigilance, 4/4 creature. It says 1, sacrifice an artifact, target creature you control gets +2 until end of turn. Okay, that's nice. You know, you've got ornithopters, ways to make ornithopters and other small creatures, so you could buff creatures that way. But then also, here's where Osgir really shines. Second text in the box says, X, tap them. Exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. Very strong. What it does is it doubles any artifacts that are in your junkyard and allows you to create 2 of them. But the cool thing about this deck is it has a lot of artifact creatures, 30 or 40 of them. And then it's got some really big, beefy artifact creatures that you can then double and then come into play. But then a lot of these artifact creatures have ETBs that are very, very nice. For example, there's a Mirror Battlesphere in the deck. For 7, he's an artifact creature. It says when he enters a battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless Mirror artifact creature tokens. Whenever he attacks, you may tap X untap Mirror you control. If you do, Mirror Battlesphere gets +X and O until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Very, very strong. So it's got a lot of artifacts that ETB, have really awesome ETB triggers, like Combustible Gear Hulk. You know, you make 2 of them, and what he says is he's a 6/6 for 6, 2 red and 4. When he enters a battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If that player doesn't, you mill 3 cards, then Combustible Gear Hulk deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. Whenever I play this, the opponent always lets me draw 3 cards because there's some really beefy creatures in this deck that you want in the graveyard, so Osgir can then bring them out and double them with cool ETBs. So very, very fun deck, very, very cheap. Very, very strong if we add a couple of things to it. One of the first things that I would do with this deck is I would add a Devilish Valet. Go check out my short video I did on the Devilish Valet and Prosh. If you put 4, 5, 6 creatures out, Devilish Valet gets super duper huge, and he's got haste and trample, and he can take out players lickety split. He comes out of nowhere, and he can help give this deck the oomph that it needs. Devilish Valet is 1 red and 2. He's a 1/3 haste and trample creature, and he says that whenever creatures come in on your side, his power doubles for each creature that comes in. So we're going to put a Devilish Valet in there because he works really well with Mirror Battlesphere. When Mirror Battlesphere comes into play, 5 creatures come into play, and the Devilish Valet doubles his power each time a creature comes in. So, with Mere Battlesphere that's already in the deck and Devilish Valet, you will get, his power will become 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, and now he is kicking total butt with the Mere Battlesphere. But another card that we're going to put in the deck is Grand Crescendo. So with Devilish Valet and Grand Crescendo, when you cast Grand Crescendo, it says 2 white and X, put that many X/1/1 creatures on the battlefield. So Devilish Valet would be a fantastic addition to this deck for Mere Battlesphere. There's also ways in this deck to make Ornithopters. But then with Grand Crescendo, depending what it does is makes all your creatures indestructible. So when Devilish Valet attacks, he's going to be indestructible. And he's going to be killing somebody. If you put 6 or 7 creatures out, that's 64 or 128 power with haste and indestructible, and someone dies. So Devilish Valet, Grand Crescendo, and Mere Battlesphere. Devilish Valet works very well in this deck. Go check out my short video on the Devilish Valet and Prosh and other creatures that work well with him. The next creature that we're going to put in here to help this deck is Viashino Heretic. He is an auto-include in any commander deck that has red. And I'll tell you why. For 1 red and 2, he is a 1/3 creature. But then also, he says that 1 red and 1, tap him, target artifact an opponent controls, you can destroy it. But then that opponent takes damage equal to the CMC to that artifact. So that's very, very, very strong. Once you put that out, you're going to be able, if you play it early game, you'll be able to keep your opponents from getting ahead of you by killing Soul Rings and Mana Crypts and Signets and stuff like that. But then with another card that we would put in this deck, Liquid Metal Torque or Liquid Metal Coating, what happens now is the Viashino Heretic can kill just about anything. You make with the Liquid Metal Coating, you can make any permanent an artifact and then destroy it with Viashino Heretic. So we're talking Rhystic Studies, Panharmonicons, any creatures, and your opponent takes the damage to whatever their CMC is. So very, 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 very fantastic card, Viashino Heretic with Liquid Metal Torque or Coating. It allows you to kill any permanent, so lands, enchantments, artifacts. Red now has the ability to kill enchantments, which is very, very, very fantastic. The next thing that I would recommend putting in this deck would be the Geometric Nexus, also known as Fraggle Rock. It is an artifact for 2. It is an artifact deck, so it works really well in the artifact deck count of the deck. And what Fraggle Rock does is, for 2 mana, you put this artifact down and you put counters on it, charge counters, anytime anyone casts an instant or sorcery, he gets that many counters. And then for 6, tap it, you can make a construct of however many charge counters are on Fraggle Rock. So that works really well with some cards that are already in the deck, like Dig Site Engineer. Dig Site Engineer is 1 white and 2. She's a creature dwarf artificer. It says whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 2. When you do, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1 for each artifact you control. Okay, so she's going to be making you some big fatties, but then the constructs that you make with Fraggle Rock are going to be included in that count, and so they work very well together. Another potential, a couple of cards that we could put in this deck would be Kazul and Ghostly Prison. Kazul is 2 red and 3. He's a 5/4 ogre, and he says that whenever anyone an opponent attacks you, for each creature that attacks you, make a 3/3 ogre. Very, very, very strong. It's kind of Red's version of Ghostly Prison. It punishes your opponents for attacking you and creates creatures for you, which could then block or just basically keep your opponents from attacking you. If they see that all of their ground pounders that they swing at you are going to be blocked, then they may just go attack somebody else. And then with Ghostly Prison, same thing. Ghostly Prison is actually a very, 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 very strong card. Stronger than you would think. Many times I've seen people play this third turn, and now, because it's the beginning of the game and people are developing, they don't have the mana to cast spells, cast creatures, and attack too. So what happens is they attack each other and not you at the beginning of the game, and that's very, very good. So two other possible includes in this deck would be Kazul and Ghostly Prison. Another potential creature that you could put in here would be Archaic Wanderer. Archaic Wanderer is very, very strong. For 5 mana, he's a 4/4 creature. He says that whenever your opponents cast instants or sorceries, if they don't pay 2, you get to copy that instant or sorcery. Very, 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 very strong card. Could work really well in this deck. The deck's already strong on its own. It's got, like I said, the Mirror Battlesphere, the Bronze Guardian, which gives all of your artifacts Ward 2, and he's a star 5. He gets the power of however many artifacts you have on the board. You've also got Triplicate Titan, very, very strong card. Steel Hellkite and Bosch Iron Golem, which allows you to basically fling artifacts at opponents for more damage. So the Viashino Heretic works really well with Bosch. And it also works really well with Liquimetal Torque and Coating, because then you can make anything an artifact and fling it. Another fantastic card to put in this deck would be Thran's Temporal Gateway. Thran's Temporal Gateway is basically a Vidalcan Orrery for artifacts, and the deck is full of artifacts, so you will be able to flash in your artifacts and not have to cast them, which is also good. But then it also allows you to cast your bigger artifacts like Triplicate Titan, Bosch Iron Golem, Steel Hellkite, Bronze Guardian, and Mirror Battlesphere, and the Combustible Gear Hulk. So Thran's Temporal Gateway would work really, really well in this deck. Another potential card we could put in here would be Halo Fountain. Halo Fountain is very strong. It is a win con, but it also works really well with the Devilish Valet. One more card that we're going to put in here would be Kiki Jiki, the Reflections of Kiki Jiki. This is a very, 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 very strong card. It's going up in value. People are starting to realize how good that card was. I remember when Kiki Jiki first came out in the Kamigawa block in the early 2000s, and there's infinite combos that you can run with him and yada, yada, yada. But he also works really well in this deck because he's a force multiplier. Basically, it's an enchantment for 1 red and 3. First tick down is you create a 2/2 goblin that whenever he attacks, you make a treasure token, and that helps with casting your bigger things later. The second tick says to discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. That works really well in this deck because you want to put artifacts in the graveyard, in the junkyard, so Osgir can then reconstruct them and create 2 of them. But then, third tick, he flips into Kiki Jiki, and for 1, tap him, you can make a token of any of your creatures. That's very, very strong in this deck because there are a lot of creatures in this deck with ETBs. You could keep ETBing Mirror Battlesphere and making all kinds of mirrors, making your Mirror Battlesphere stronger. You can make more Bronze Guardians. You can make Combustible Gear Hulks, and now your opponents have to either let you draw 3 cards or get burned. On and on and on. Angel of the Ruins. You could make copies of that. 2 white and 5. When Angel of the Ruins enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Very, very strong in this deck. The deck also has some really awesome dragons in the deck. It comes with a Hellkite Tyrant, which I was very pleased to see. Very strong card, flying, trample, 6/5 flyer. For 2 red and 4, whenever the Tyrant deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. That's another win con right there. Comes with a Horde Smelter Dragon, 2 red and 4, 5/5 flyer. Text box says 1 red and 3, destroy target artifact. Horde Smelter Dragon gets plus X and O until end of turn, where X is that artifact's mana value. It's also got a Hellkite Igniter, 2 red and 5, 5/5 flying haste. Hellkite Igniter gets XO till end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Very, very, very strong. Very, very good to have in this deck. And then, with Hellkite Tyrant, you could either win the game or you can fling those artifacts at opponents with Bosch and do damage that way. Very, 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 very fantastic card. Very good deck. Just needs a little bit of oomph. It's also got a duplicate and Meteor Golem. So with Kiki Jiki, you can now copy Meteor Golem and destroy target permanent. Create a duplicate, and duplicate, when he comes into play, he exiles a creature card. Very, very, very strong. Very, very strong deck. Just needs a little oomph. If we add these cards, it's going to be much stronger. The last addition I would make to this deck potentially would be Lightning Greaves and Crackdown Construct. I was really surprised that they didn't put a Lightning Greaves in this deck. It really kind of needs it. But now we're going to add a Greaves to it. And with Crackdown Construct, what you can do is, it's an artifact for 4, and it's a 2/2, but it gets +1 for each time a artifact has been activated without it being a mana ability. So what you do with the Lightning Greaves and Crackdown Construct is you move the Greaves back and forth between Crackdown Construct and something else. And now Crackdown Construct, which you just played, has haste and has plus X of whatever, how many times you moved it. And there's a Rogue's Gallery in this deck. And there's creatures that give your creatures unblockable. And now with the Devilish Valet and or Crackdown Construct, you're taking out players every turn. So there you go. I hope you like my short deck tech on Osgir the Reconstructor. Very, very strong card. I think in this deck, Triplicate Titan made its first appearance, and he's one of my favorite guys. For 9, he's a 9/9 flying vigilance trample 9-ball. When he dies, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token with flying, a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token with vigilance, and a 3/3 golem artifact token with trample. Very, 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 very good. One other potential card we can put in here would be Worm Coil Engine. So, as you can see, we are adding a bunch of win cons and combos that can win you the game out of nowhere with Crackdown Construct and Lightning Greaves, which should have been in the deck anyway, or a Devilish Valet and Grand Crescendo. You can now really kick butt. So, I hope you liked my quick deck tech upgrade for Osgir. Very strong deck with a couple of additions, and it's cheap, and it allows newer players to make a couple changes and really be able to hang with the best of them. And if it's your play style and you want to play a deck that's artifact heavy, then there you go. So I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you like my quick video. Go check out my videos on the Viashino Heretic and the Devilish Valet. I think you will really, really like those. So that's it. I'm going to get on out of here. Bosch can also fling your constructs that you make with Fraggle Rock. So, very strong with just a couple additions. I'm going to get on out of here. Basically an artifact reanimator deck. Now, if you guys would, please, if you made it this far, please like and subscribe. And tell me what you think. Tell me what you would add to this deck to make it stronger. If you're still here, if you're a subscriber, if you're still listening right now, then you are my friend. And we just, we're friends, but we just haven't met yet. Here at the Commander's Crypt, we like to say that we are building a community. We don't want to just be another Commander channel. We want to be a Commander community. So that's it. I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you're having a